Hello and welcome to a very special video. Today we're going to get my thoughts and opinions on some of these newer, at least one newer kit from Star Wars Legion. These are the Range Troopers. Now, I've been around wargaming for a while. I've dealt with a lot of different plastics, and I think this is an interesting set. We'll go ahead and lift this up just to get out of the way and move in front two examples. Now, I have very limited experience with Star Wars Legion. I haven't really played it, but I like to mess with various miniatures and get a feel for them. So first off, let me talk about these. This guy is one of the older ones in the softer plastic. Now the detail's not bad. He had a lot of joints that you just kind of stick the limb or the head or the accessory into. Wasn't much of a problem. I have experience with dealing with this. The one issue is that sometimes the detailing in that kind of plastic is soft, and sometimes you have to, well, it's better to cut the mold lines off than it is to try to sand. So for newer people who aren't used to this, this can be a bit of a pain. Assembly wise, pretty easy. Now, talking about this Range Trooper, you could treat it just like a Games Workshop one. You can scrape the mold lines. You can sand him. He's very easy to work with. The plastic has a good feel to it. Quite oddly enough, it's fairly pleasant to deal with in terms of plastic. And the kit goes together with relative ease. So both of them have that. If you're wondering, let me go ahead and just grab one of these sprues. I kept one of these guys on the sprue. We'll go ahead and just move them out of the way for a moment, and then we'll get to talking about the rest of it. Sorry, a little bit organic here. So you'll notice that all of the parts for one miniature are in a line. They're relatively easy to figure out. They have guides in a lot of places. So let's go over and look at this leg here. You'll see there is a peg here once you've connected these two parts of the leg that slips into the main part of the body once you have it. We'll flip this around real quick. Now these parts of the coat, or the skirting if you prefer, they have these little guides in them that are like little lines. It's very easy to figure out where they go because the legs have a very similar cut in them, and you know how to go based off the picture, aka the pouch on the front is going to be on the frontward facing area. Very easy to do. So in terms of kits being fairly easy with what I have experience with, this was a really easy one once I realized that the whole miniature went from one side to the other in a straight line. As you can see here, we'll pull out another example real quick so that you can get a little bit better of a view of it. All right. Very similar situation here. You go from one side to the other. Now, you will get duplicates. There is a lot more of that in the game, I believe, than you would see otherwise, but it's not that big of a deal. So, I actually found these to be really rather pleasant to work with. Now, I added a little bit of my own basing stuff. It's not done in any way, aka I took a plastic card, I cut it up, and I made my own kind of basing for it. Effectively, I really have to say that for these kits, they were really easy to put together and to gonk without too much of a problem. I really quite liked working on them. They look really good. They have a good amount of detail. And if you're used to working with plastics, they are very easy to work with. Easy to clean up, easy to assemble. I used a little bit of just, plastic glue on these guys, and I didn't have really too much in the way of problems. Now, posability. If you're looking for something that's fairly posable and you can do a lot with it, these are not your guys. There's not a lot of options in a lot of the kits. Now, this kit's fairly basic. I believe the Scouts and some of the other kits do have options for some of the poses as my neighbor goes flying by next door. So in that regard, it's fairly monopose. You're gonna get what you're gonna get. There's very little in the way of options, but the kits look good, and honestly, I don't mind it for the value. They tend to be, as far as I can tell, a little bit cheaper than Games Workshop. You know what you're getting. You get if I can grab all this from here, you get all the bases for them. I just didn't show them. They're those little gray bases. And you get all of the rules in a little packet with tokens and all the stuff you need in it. Whoop! And I immediately knock one of the guys down. Very organic, very relatable. He gets back up again. You're never going to keep him down. Anyways, and it does give you a little poster thing. I'm going to try to pull out. We'll just keep it folded for a second. Which is got a big heading of read this first. Shows you, has a little thing to go to in the instructions. And on the other side of it, if you... I thought it was neat that they did this. But it's nothing that great. There's a poster, which I can't get in frame. Yay! And probably shouldn't anyways. But overall, what do I have to say about it from being a modeler with 40K for as long as I've been? I like the kits. I think they're very, very well done. There's another kit that they're doing that I'm going to get if people are interested in seeing more, and it does multi-part officers that you get to customize, which is a thing I've been talking about. Horus Heresy and 40K should have done years ago. But if you are not worried about having a full army of these guys, and these are supposed to be an expansion unit anyways, there's nothing wrong with it. You get one unit. There's a couple guys that are similar, but whatever. It's a war game. It's not that bad. If you're really high on the posability and the customizability, these guys are not it. They are basic infantry. They are not meant to really be altered or done much with. You could, but it would take a massive amount of work, and I'm not sure it'd be really worth it in the long run. So I'd rate them very poorly on that. At least this kit, I've seen other ones that have more options and such. But they're very well detailed. They're easy to put together. And for the cost, they're not too bad. Plus, there are more advanced kits out there that I plan on covering. So I rate these guys a 2 thumbs up. I think that they're very well done for what they are. And I was surprised after I had worked on the... I had basically toyed around with the Rebel Commando kit. I forget what the name of that one is. And I was like, hey, cool. They're hard plastic. It feels very well done. The kits are very well thought out. And, hey... there's always options, and if you're doing RPGs, they look good for just basic board game bad guys. These guys are going to be a painting project for me. I might end up testing out Star Wars Legion. But hey, guys, what do you think? Do you think these look good? Do you think they're tempting enough for you to try to get into? What are your feelings overall about it? And hey, if we never meet again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.